Well, the question on the screen right now, remember the title of last week's sermon? Anybody remember that? What?
Life verses.
Very good. Thanks, son. Life verses. Life verses. That was the title. And so, Lori and I have a Sunday afternoon routine now in winter. After lunch, we settle in at home and watch golf. Mainly because we can't play. So we watch. And I like to watch a group of guys that play on this Champions Tour. And they're the older fellas. 50 and above. And yeah, I like to watch the young guys, but they hit the ball so far. And the older guys, they play more of my game. So I watch them. So as Lori and I, we were watching this tournament called the Chubb Classic. One of the guys that was at the top was a guy by the name of Bernard Lang. And he's been a good golfer a long time, but he's been especially good since he turned 50. And now he's 65, and he's still really good. In fact, so good that he won last Sunday. And so Lori and I are watching, and after the tournament concludes and the winner is determined, the winner has an interview there on the 18th green. And he came out and he introduced his family, his grandchildren. This is the only tour where grandchildren are introduced. And he introduced his wife, and then he started to talk. And there he is. And I'm going to see if I can get this to play. Okay, I was worried about that. So, I'm prepared. Here's what Bernard Langer had to say.
There's been a lot of talk about catching hell the last few years, and there's a lot of pressure, especially today when you get this close, and then you have thoughts running through your mind, and you're going, well, you're this close, you don't want to lose it now, but that's the wrong stuff to think. You gotta just focus on one shot at a time. So I actually, did a little quiet time this morning, and I wrote this Bible verse down, and I carried it all day just to encourage me. And it's out of Proverbs. It says, I will trust the Lord with all my heart and not lean on my own understanding. In all my ways I will acknowledge him, and he will make my path straight. And my path was pretty straight today and this whole week. I drove it very well. I had a lot of fairways, a lot of greens, and unfortunately did better than anybody else.
So I looked over at Lori, and she's got tears running down her eyes. And I said, that's our life verse. And it's nice to know that other people keep life verses in their pocket. And Bernard Liner, God bless him, he keeps one in his pocket. Oh, there. I can get it to work then. Okay, well, I think it sounded better the way we did it. Okay, so now on to today's sermon. Man, hands are cold. In my new role as co-pastor here at Wesley, I like to explore. And there's all kinds of cool places to explore in this building. And there are corners of our church that are not visited very often. And those are the places I like to go. Well, one corner is right in the main office. The southeast corner of the main office contains the photographic history of the building of our church in phases. The first phase was the educational wing, kitchen, offices, and fellowship hall. The second phase was our sanctuary and our Christ window. Today's sermon is going to focus on that second phase, and especially the Christ window. Now, I think it is only fitting that we pay a brief tribute to the members of Wesley who served on the building committee, the building sanctuary committee. We must not forget their hard work and dedication from over 4 decades ago, which allows us to enjoy this beautiful building today. And that beautiful window. The officers of the committee were Dwayne Richardson, Chair, Paul Carbon, Vice Chair, Clifford Nelson, Secretary, Al Seekers, Official Photographer, and O.P. Kramer, Emeritus. Did I pronounce that right? Emeritus. Dang it. I was practicing that and messed it up. Now also, others serving on the committee were Reverend Floyd Fote, Bill Allen, Dr. John Bauer, Pamela Hadachek, Linda Hathaway, Richard Huffnagel, Claude Hummel, Connie Hutchinson, Mimsy Irwin, Wayne Irwin, Rose Middleton, James Middleton, Robert Payton, and Charles Pritchard. I don't know why I'm getting emotional here. But those names probably have not been heard in our church in a long time. And I want to give credit where credit is due. Now, our church bulletin on December 21st, 1980 included a thank you written by Dwayne Richardson. As chairman of the building committee of our new sanctuary, I wish personally to thank all persons as individuals and on committees for their sincere cooperation in the planning, construction, and counseling towards the completion of this new addition. All projects of this magnitude are a combination of negotiable compromises, and it is to the credit of all involved that the new sanctuary will now be enjoyed to its fullest, not only for the present, but for generations to come. Let us praise God for his continued blessings. Dwayne Richardson. Wesley was blessed to have such a group of talented people come together to work towards this one goal. And that surrounds us this morning. May God bless those who are no longer with us. And if you happen to know one of the members of the committee who is still with us, please do not hesitate to say thank you from all the members of Wesley United Methodist Church, past, present, and future. That committee was elected in a congregational meeting on September 20th, 1976, and ground was broke for our new sanctuary on July 8th, 1979. Now, I think it was very interesting, the groundbreaking ceremony that took place right here. In fact, right about where you are sitting. It was a warm day in July, and everyone that was in attendance was able to participate in the ceremony, which I found very interesting. And here's how that happened. They obtained an old one-man plow. A one-man plow. And in fact, they used the same plow in both groundbreaking ceremonies. So a long rope was tied to the front of the plow. And then it was a matter of everyone grabbing a section of the rope and pulling. And the rope stretched for quite a ways. This was a much anticipated building project because this congregation really wanted to worship in a sanctuary. So first, the architects created the design. And that's pretty accurate to what we have today. And that now brings us to the focus of the sermon, which would be our beautiful Christ window. During the construction process, a wood framework was put in place. Hold everything together. And there are the workers up there working hard on our sanctuary. Now, the company that completed the Christ window for us was the Franklin Art Company of Columbus, Ohio. And I Googled the company just to see if they were still in existence. And they are still in business. In fact, on their website, the picture looks a lot like that one, except for that vintage car sitting there. This building happens to be located in German Village in Columbus. And it was talented people, talented and skilled individuals who worked diligently on our window. Their goal was to create an art form that would convey the things the church wanted the congregation to see. To see, think about, and understand. I do not know any of the names. I just know that their hands crafted, with their hands, they had God helping with their hands to create our window. So there it is in pieces on a table. How it gets from there to there, I have no clue. But it did. And there is the framework that they used to put our window together. Now, another shot of the window. After the work was completed at Franklin Glass, it was time to assemble the window and gradually remove the wooden framework. Our next picture are of the same employees of Franklin Glass installing our window. Pretty cool. Notice the fact that the Occupational Safety and Health Administration must not have been quite in existence yet. Brave souls, no harnesses. And it's a long drive. As far as I know, there were no serious injuries during the construction of our church and the Christ window. God blessings are overwhelming. So now, our Christ window has been completed for 43 years. And thanks goes to all those involved. So, there's the completed picture. So somewhere in this photographic history of the building, I found a handwritten explanation of our Christ window. So there it is. Now, I don't know who did this. I don't know if it was one of those artists in Columbus, but it says, Christ window, new sanctuary, Fostoria, Wesley United Methodist Church. Start at the top, go left to right. Okay. That might be new. A little bit of new information for some of us. Start at the top and go left to right. Okay. Well, let's do that then. Start at the top and go left to right. Now, on January 29th, 1984, the Wesley Church Bulletin, called the Fostoria Outlook, explained each symbol and the connecting scriptural reference. Symbols can be very powerful in worship. They can remind us of God's sovereignty through history, and they can inspire us to want to know Jesus better. As the handwritten note states, you start at the top and work your way around counterclockwise. So, let's give this a shot. Alpha and Omega. Alpha and Omega. Clear up at the top. Greek letters. Symbolic of Jesus Christ, who said, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. Revelation 1, verse 8. The star, symbolic of the birth of Christ, and love. The star which they had seen in the east went before them till it came to rest over the place where the child was. Matthew 2, verse 9. The scallop shell, right over there. That might be something new. The scallop shell, symbolic of Jesus' baptism. When Jesus came from Galilee to the Jordan River, to John. He was baptized by him. Matthew 3, verse 13. Loaves and fishes, right here. Symbolic of the work of Jesus. And taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, he looked up to heaven and blessed and broke them and gave them to his disciples to set before the crowd. Luke 9:16. And these 2 little green things, those are the fish. And, those are the 5 loaves. The cup and the wafer, symbolic of the compassion of Jesus. And he took bread, and he gave thanks, and broke it, and gave it unto them, saying, "This is my body, which is given to you. Do this in remembrance of me." After supper, he took another cup of wine and said, "This wine is a token of God's new covenant to save you, an agreement sealed with the blood I will pour out for you." Luke 22:19 and 20. The cup and the wafer. The towel, basin, and pitcher, symbolic of the ministry of Jesus, when he poured water into the basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel which he was girded. John 13, verse 5. The cross, symbolic of the sacrifice of Jesus. And then they came to the place which is called the skull. There they crucified him and the criminals, one on the right and one on the left. Luke 23, verse 33. Now, I'm going to add a little something here. We've got one cross here, but if in this section right here, we've got 2 more crosses on the left side, symbolic of the 3 crosses that were on the skull. The goal of this sermon has been first to give credit to all those wonderful folks that worked hard one way or another so that we might benefit from this amazing building and this beautiful treasure, the Christ window. Secondly, whenever you enter our sanctuary, all you have to do is look up to be inspired and learn the many spiritual truths that are represented in that window. The most important spiritual truth: God sent his only Son to earth. The religious symbols on the window are simple signs that represent significant concepts in Christianity and represent Jesus Christ's ministry here on earth. I invite you to spend time reflecting on the window now that we've clarified the meaning of each symbol. Every one of these symbols can help us focus on something wonderful about God and his inspiring work in our lives. Use our Christ window as an opportunity to get to know Jesus on a more intimate level. When you take the time to do just that, your faith will have no boundaries. Your faith will have no boundaries. Amen.